we're at the Detroit Arsenal of Democracy Museum.
Correct.
And we already have a little bit of background information about you, but I'm curious about this. What is this?
This is a 1941 Dodge half-ton pickup called the Power Wagon. The Army nomenclature was called a WC-12. It was a closed cab pickup. It was basically a civilian pickup truck, four-wheel drive, that the Army needed four-wheel drives really bad at the beginning of World War II. So they bought them directly off the shelf from the auto manufacturers. Dodge had this vehicle in civilian production. The Army adopted it. So this particular vehicle, the WC-12, was only manufactured in 1941 and 1942. Then they went on to more improved versions. They came up with cost efficiencies and production efficiencies that they changed the vehicle as it went along. Because this is basically a civilian vehicle. It was made for ranchers. In fact, I purchased this from a rancher in Tulsa, Oklahoma. He had it for 32 years when he decided to sell it. So we brought it here last year and drove it off the trailer. It ran, but we're going to take it back to its original 1941 configuration and put it in the markings that it would had in 1941.
How long is it going to take for this restoration?
Well, we got it here last May, and we hope to have it done this May, but that's only working on Saturday and Sundays on the weekends. I have a full-time job that we work at. Everybody else has full-time employment, so this is almost like a weekend hobby. So altogether, a couple hundred man-hours into this one, and this one's an easy restoration. The 1942 Scout car we did took us 4.5 years. On weekends. Wow. And there was a lot of parts that had to be fabricated because that was a specialty vehicle, and a lot of those parts you don't go to Napa and pick up.
Unfortunately. Well, this all is a labor of love.
Yeah. People look at you and think that you're crazy spending that much time in. If you added your hours on it and what you invested into it cash-wise, you would never get your money back out of it. This is not done as an investment. Like you said, it's a labor of love.
Oh, yes, but this is our history, and if you and others don't do something about it, it's going to be lost to us forever.
Exactly. I mean, you don't get to see these type of vehicles in most museums. If you go to the Henry Ford or the now closed Chrysler Museum, they just don't have the vehicles that were used and built in the Arsenal of Democracy and used in our defense of our nation. You know, and the Arsenal of Democracy was not just World War II. It's all the way up to the present. The Tank Automotive Command in Warren, Michigan still does a lot of work in research and development and designing new vehicles for our troops. What you're looking at is the front clip for the pickup truck. The front clip is the shroud around the radiator, the two fenders and the sidewalls that go inside the wheel wells. We had some work done on that. We had to patch some holes in there, so we had it welded up. We're going to take out the dents that are on the top of the cowl itself. We use a little bit of Bondo on it, and that'll be ready to go. In remarkably good condition for a 71-year-old vehicle.
cut it out.
Well, you told him not to. Okay, Arnold. Well, on the count of
Not to cut.
Arnold, on the count of
follows
three. On the count of
instructions.
three.
Pull it tight, so he cuts.
Cut it, Arnold.
Cut it out.
You like that, huh? Yeah. I want to welcome you, folks. Exactly. I want to welcome you, folks, to the Arsenal Democracy Museum. It's been probably a dozen years in the making, so we appreciate you coming out. All the vehicles here belong to members or myself or Ed Kaminsky. This is our first stepping stone for a museum, and we appreciate you taking part in our long drive toward a museum. We have an excellent relationship with St. Clair Shores, and the mayor's here with us. We appreciate you all being here. Each one of these vehicles Ed and I personally selected to be in the museum. There will be a floating display of vehicles coming in and out throughout the coming years. And I want you to make sure you enjoy the bar area back there. There's plenty of food here. There's desserts over here. If you brought your kids with you, there's computer gaming over there because we enjoy computer gaming. I hope you enjoy computer gaming. So if there's any questions, please feel free. And I just want to acknowledge a couple people. Ed Kaminsky, please raise your hand. Executive Director. Alan Parks, right here from TACOM. Mayor Walby, right here, St. Clair Shores. Ron Lamparter, one of my oldest supporters right there. Dave. Wow. Dave and Ray. Where's Ray? Ray's in the, there's Ray, right there, Korean War vet. And of course, our honored guest today is Arnold Whitbread and Pat, World War II veterans. Arnold, 101st, Pat in the Armor. I always save the best for last. We have our royalty here, our news crew that's been helping us. They've been videoing us from the very beginning. Also from Macomb County. You're a commissioner, correct?
No, I was assistant county executive
To Mark Hackle. So, and he's the county executive. That's right. And my dear friend Henry Bowman. And of course, Mayor Mark Steenberg. Did I miss anybody? Bob Amen, who's been with me forever. NDIA, Bob's been working in the defense industry forever. Phil Hagan back there, who's incognito, who's not supposed to be here because he's supposed to be working. And of course, Barb, that's Ray's wife. She works in our gift shop. So we appreciate John Frost, who helped me set up the entire museum. And last but not least, James Bertolino, who just got married on Saturday. And I was his best man. I was his best man on Saturday, and he's my best man in life. So I appreciate you coming out. Enjoy yourselves. Make sure that you, if you have any questions on the vehicles, we'd be happy to answer. We have make sure you take a goodie bag. And in World War II, they had brown paper bags, so we are giving you brown paper bags. We don't want you to be spoiled, but there are goodies in the bag. And in one of the bags, there is a $10,000 bill, so. Nah, I'm joking, I'm joking.
John, real quick, do you want to know when you're opening to the public how much your hours are going to be?
The grand opening is May 10th, and that's where Senator John Papageorge will be here. He's Michigan Senator John Papageorge, retired Colonel, U.S. Army, and also U.S. House of Representative Gary Peters will be here. So, and I also want to thank Mary and her husband, who are working the table up front. They're the ones that are going to be giving you goodie bags. They're the ones that are going to be taking your donations for today. Other than that, you can do it all online. So we appreciate it. If you have any questions at all, please ask about the vehicles. We will be moving vehicles in and out. There's also two very large vehicles outside. We have an M936 and an M1070. So this is a living museum. These vehicles go out. They're going to go out to different events. We have a large contingent of vehicles that are going to go to the St. Clair Shores Memorial Day Parade. We also take vehicles the next day to the Grosse Pointe War Memorial. We'll be doing Eyes on Design. We'll be supporting the Eyes on Design show at the Eleanor and Hetzel Ford House. We will be taking vehicles to the birthday bash in the city of Warren for Henry Bowman. In fact, the vehicles will be coming and going for 3 days at the birthday bash. So if you have any requirements for a vehicle, please email us or tell me, and we can get you a vehicle to a specific event, particularly if it supports veterans. That's our name of our game, supporting veterans and their causes. So we'll support other people, but veterans and their causes get the priority. And walking through the door, another World War II vet and Berlin airlift veteran, Richard Peelan and his wife Jan. I met Richard years ago at the Renaissance Festival up in, I don't know what city that's in. Holly, yeah, years ago. So Richard is our reenacting World War II veteran. He is a World War II veteran, and Richard runs in the field with machine guns just like we all do. So if you have any questions, please don't hesitate. Look at the different displays. That's Eisenhower, one of Eisenhower's limousines right there. And in the glass cabinet behind there is Ike's yearbook, 1915 howitzer, and also the 40th reunion book. Now, we didn't have a chance to go through it, but we're going to video and photograph each one of the pages. There was only 31 copies of that reunion book. And there's some great candid photos from 1955 because now Eisenhower's president. So you'll see the differences in security because he only has one man walking with him, even though they're on West Point, and he's barely with them. He's only in a handful of photographs. So, and I received that book from one of the heirs that was the granddaughter of one of the officers from the class of 1950. So, and of course, that's the class the stars fell on. There was 59 out of 162 became general officers. And no other West Point classes ever had that many general officers. It just happened to work out perfect. They were all lieutenant colonels or colonels in 1940. So we also have a rare M20 Scout car that was a 3-year restoration by Ed Kaminsky, Ray Taylor, and Dave. Where is Dave? I keep losing Dave. Well, Dave, you blend in with the fruit right there, so that's why I don't see it. That's one of the interesting things. And also we have on deck is General Bassett, who just walked in. Will you please come forward, sir? I have had the pleasure of meeting him before at the Grosse Pointe War Memorial. And General, if you'd like to say a word, the camera's right behind you.
Sure. All right. Well, thanks everybody for making it today. I was really excited to help kick off this great facility with some trucks that are near and dear to my heart, having managed some of them, or at least their successors, here at the Detroit Arsenal. But again, thanks to everybody coming out, and it's things like this that really show our veterans how much we care about them at a time when we're going to be bringing an awful lot of soldiers back from overseas, and when more than 1 million have served over the last over 12 years of combat in Iraq and Afghanistan. So thank you all for what you're doing, and thank you for being here today. It means an awful lot. Thanks.
So make sure you enjoy and get plenty to eat. Thank you for coming.
John, so much work has gone into this. Can you give us a little bit of an idea of all you've done?
Well, we started in 2000 where I organized the group, and then we had volunteers, and we did the restoration process on a few vehicles. We actually started with fire trucks, and then we gradually got into more military vehicles. So my love of collecting started as a child. My father's a World War II veteran. So working with the veterans groups after I got out in 2007, I've just continued that process. We like to take the vehicles to the recruitment areas, the recruitment centers in the area, so that the young recruits, the kids that are actually going in the military, they get to see the vehicles that someday they drove, and and what their grandfathers drove. So we like to have an equal mix of vehicles from World War II, where the original tank arsenal started producing tanks in 1941, all the way through the present. So you'll see vehicles here that are we have the very largest truck in the Army inventory, the heavy equipment transporter, all the way down to a rare 1941 WLC Harley Davidson.
I saw that Harley Davidson. It looks very nice. You know, this is American history, and if you don't do it, who's going to?
Well, sometimes it gets lost. You know, the kids enjoy. We also have a computer gaming now, because what books and movies were to my generation, computer gaming is to the new generation.
Absolutely.
So what we do is allow them to play the computer games, and then we show them some of the vehicles and weapons that were actually in the computer games. So they'll be able to get a little more real sense when they're playing.
There's going to be some hands-on things that people will be able to do here when you're open. Isn't that right?
Oh, absolutely. We're going to have about 4 or 5 exhibits that are strictly hands-on, and we want people to realize, to be able to pick these items up and see what they were used for, protection purposes, offensive use of different weapons, and also the vehicles. We're going to be giving vehicle rides. We have a unique location here where we basically have a 1-mile track around the museum that's not on the main roads, so we can actually take people for rides in all the different vehicles.
It's going to be so much fun. I'm looking forward to the opening. We'll be back here.
Well, thank you very much, and I appreciate it, and I hope you get the word out, and we'll be here in St. Clair Shores, and we're developing a very good relationship with the city and the fathers of St. Clair Shores, and hopefully this will be our birthplace.
I'm Pam Clark with Screechy Art Productions. We're About People. Today we're at the Detroit Arsenal of Democracy Museum, and it's the grand opening.
Yeah.
And I have 3 gentlemen here who are helping out with the opening. And Remy?
Yes.
And what are you doing here?
Well, I'm a member of the museum, and we do reenactments, and we try to support the museum, however we can. So we're here just to have a good time today for the grand opening.
And this is done for the heart, because you guys are volunteers.
Yes,
correct?
we are. Yeah, everybody's volunteering. Yeah.
Well, we appreciate you coming out.
So we own all our own equipment and all that kind of stuff. These kind of things that we do.
All right, and
John.
John, J-O-H, and John.
That's correct.
And John, what's your background?
Well, by education, history teacher, but right now, lingering unemployed. Actually, I work for the director of the museum right now. I'm working alongside for him. But I'm also here as a reenactor to help open the museum and give it a little eye candy. Can't have all these old guys here. You gotta have some young-looking guys too.
It helps set the scene. We appreciate you coming out. And Bill, your background.
My background, automotive engineer by profession, military vehicle enthusiast by choice.
There we go.
So I have the ARC track in the museum, John's museum, so I'm here to support the museum. I belong to the museum as well now.
Well, we appreciate that, We need volunteers. We need people to help come out and help preserve the history. And I want to thank you 3 gentlemen so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a good time today.
Yeah, it'll be fun.
Again, here at the Detroit Arsenal of Democracy Museum for the grand opening on May 10th. And with me at this little reenactment is Wayne.
Correct.
And Wayne, how did you happen to get involved in this?
Well, I've always been interested in World War II history and Civil War history, interested in military history. I started out with Civil War reenacting, and then I still do that. And then I got into the World War II. I met Ed Kaminsky, who owned an art gallery, and into him I met John then. And you buy one item, and then you buy another item, and then before you know it, you have more than you care to think about.
More than you have room for.
Absolutely.
Now, is this all yours?
This is all mine.
And you collected it. This is all authentic.
The majority. Some stuff isn't because it's, then you don't care about it. I have a lot of good stuff at home where I keep a lot of the good stuff out of the way, but most of it's authentic. what I decided to do is what was called the First Special Service Force. They started in 1942. It was a joint U.S.-Canada unit. Basically, it was supposed to be 50-50 U.S.-Canada troops, but they ended up being, more U.S. It was U.S. equipped, what have you. If you've ever seen the movie The Devil's Brigade with Cliff Robertson and Glenn Ford, they portray the First Special Service Force. They were at Anzio. That was where they did most of their work. Eventually, they disbanded in 1944 because in Italy, the Canadian government needed the troops back for their own purposes. They were there for almost 2.5 years. They were in existence, and they were in combat for almost 1 year. It's pretty steady. They were at the casino, in that part of Italy. Then they spent most of their time at Anzio, and then they were in what they call the Champagne campaign, which was southern France. That's when they were disbanded from southern France. And their colonel that led them, Robert T. Frederick, I've heard he is the most wounded general officer in World War II. He had the most wounds.
Wow.
So most Purple Hearts, so to speak.
But he didn't go home, he stayed.
And then he came home and retired. So that's what I try to do. I try to portray the First Special Service Force. And by the way, that's the only time the U.S. and Canada or multinational forces have been in combat together.
That's very interesting. When it's a lot more interesting to hear about it from a person than to read just dry material in a book. Right. And so we appreciate you coming out here and donating your time.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate being here. I appreciate the museum and all the efforts that everybody here is doing. Thank you.
I'm with Jocelyn, and she is in charge of a machine that somehow makes dog tags. And Jocelyn, how do you do this?
Well, we just have the person come on over and write down their name and what they'd like on the dog tag. Then I go ahead and place it in the machine here, and I can type through this machine exactly what the person wants.
So that they can have a keepsake at this event.
Yes, definitely.
That's wonderful.
Yes.
And you're also a volunteer, is that correct?
I am.
Today we're at the Detroit Arsenal of Democracy Museum for a sneak peek about what they've all done, and it's just amazing. With me is Jimmy Bertolino, and Jimmy, tell us what you do here.
All right, I'm the resident historian for the museum, and my role is kind of a multi-purpose role. So I take groups around the museum and share my insight on history and World War II and what Detroit did for the Arsenal of Democracy during World War II, and continues to support the war on terrorism too as well. So that's one role. My other role is actually what we're in right now, our gaming area. So I'm also the IT guy too as well. So I have a few other different displays here as well. That's showcasing different movies during the war too as well. So it kind of incorporates everything that we have here in the museum too. So.
Yes, and I see that you have multimedia displays as well as and the computer games. You already have a fan right now.
Yeah. So and that's the thing too. So kids read and we're taught in schools about World War II and military history, but really what a lot of kids do, they're learning via video games. And so what we've decided to do here is incorporate both of those atmospheres. So we have the school atmosphere with all the vehicles and displays, but we also have the fun interactive displays like the gaming area that we have behind us. So
I think that's a lot more entertaining for the kids than reading a book.
Exactly, and you'd be surprised how many kids have come up to me at events and said, oh, I know that's an M1 Garand. And I said, well, that's good. I'm glad you know that, but how do you know that? And they go, well, I know from a video game. And so the nice thing about the video games and what we have here is that they can play the video games and shoot the M1 Garand, but then go out and actually pick one up and see what it's actually like in real life. So
that's great. Now you're going to be here for the grand opening, true?
Yeah, so I'm going to be here for the grand opening on May 10th. So I'll be here in the period uniform too as well. So again, it's my small part of making sure our vets are remembered. So I'll be here in uniform and helping support the event too as well.
We're over here at the greeting table, also in charge of the goodie bags. Mary and her husband, Michael, retired?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and how did you get involved? involved in this?
Well, we were asked to come and volunteer some time here at the Arsenal of Democracy, and we're very happy to be here as volunteers tonight.
Well, you guys are doing a great job. We appreciate your time.
Oh, thank you. It is fun.
They need help. They need volunteers like you guys. And oh, the goodie bags. Paper bags, just like they
Paper
used
bags.
back in World War II.
That's right, full of goodies about membership and the Arsenal of Democracy Museum.
You know, this young man was here with us, pulled up actually behind us when we pulled in. Yep. And I was so excited, I asked him about something about how cool it was riding that Jeep with no top.
Not really. I mean, I just came from down the street here.
And what is your name?
Paul.
Hi, Paul.
Hi.
And tell me a little bit about the Jeep.
Well, 1942 Willys MB.
Okay.
Made in Toledo, Ohio. Funny story how I got it. It was impounded by the U.S. Marshals for mail fraud.
Really?
Yep. Saw it sitting there a couple years ago. First time I saw it, I knew I had to have it, so waited a little while. Eventually went up for auction in about September 2012.
Wow. So we had it 2 years.
Yep.
You've gone through it and got it completely drivable, I see. Mm-hmm. That is so cool.
The Red Ball Express was the name given to the logistics train vehicles that were used to supply Patton's Third Army after the breakout of Normandy in 1944. Comprised mainly of independent truck companies that were manned by African American troops. People all know about the Tuskegee Airmen, but the Red Ball Express folks have not received their due honor. So one of the things we intend to do in the museum is having a salute to the African American troops who did provide valuable service in the logistics train of keeping Patton's army supplied and keeping them rolling toward the border of Germany and their efforts during the Battle of the Bulge.